Remember in school when you would look at that one kid funny because he couldn't hold a conversation or have a different routine of doing things? I do, and I knew a few of them during high school, and it took me a while to realize that they were all just like my brother. They had autism. Did you know that 1 in every 110 kids is diagnosed with a type of autism spectrum disorder? Well, it's true. People need to be informed on this increasing disability because it's becoming more and more apparent. Many people have come in contact with a person with autism, but many people do not know that autism has very different versions of it. Due to the growing number of children being diagnosed, we need to have a better understanding of what autism is and what the potential signs of it is. What is autism exactly? According to Peter Bell, who is an executive president for the program called Autism Speaks, he states that autism is a general term used to describe a group of complex developmental brain disorders known as pervasive developmental disorders. Bell also continued to state that there are other types of disorders known as Asperger's syndrome, Rett syndrome, and childhood disintegrative disorder. 1 in 110 American children is somewhere on the autism spectrum. Research shows that this is 3 or 4 times more common in both boys than girls. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that 1 in 54 boys and 1 in 254 girls has autism. The prevalence of a form of autism in 8-year-olds increased in 2006 by 57%. This is a dramatic increase that is due to more and more information being discovered about autism and having a better understanding of the signs of it in their children. How common autism is becoming more and more has worried many people and has brought an urgent public health concern. There is no one set cause for autism. People are constantly researching this disorder and trying to solve it and what exactly causes it. They believe that it's caused by genetic problems. These problems can result in making the child more susceptible to getting autism, and others can take part when the brain is developing and cause it. These genetic problems could be inherited by parents or other family members, or they could happen just randomly. Your family could have never had a person with autism, but your child still might be born with it, with the high occurrence of it. Environmental factors also take a toll on genetic development, and they believe this can cause some genetic problems. There are also rumors that vaccines can cause autism, although there's no substantial proof of that. In order to tell a child's parents that he or she has autism, there needs to be an understanding of the signs of it in their children. Autism affects the child's way of viewing the world and interacting with others. There are many signs that help professionals diagnose this disease. The symptoms may be milder, which is typically Asperger's syndrome, or more severe, which would be severe autism. Typically in severe autism, the child is unable to speak or barely interact with people. The symptoms are usually seen in social skills, language, and behavior. Almost every child with autism has unique behavior, but many children all have the same symptoms. When it comes to social skills, these children act like you're not even there. They prefer to play alone and do not respond when you say the name or try talking to them. Also, they have a hard time understanding other people's feelings and do not like being touched, hugged, or cuddled. You can also often observe these signs early with a child by putting them in a room full of other children or trying to interact with them. A slow development in language is an early sign of autism as well. Many children do not start talking until after they are 2 years old. They have a hard time putting sentences together and struggle to start or continue conversation. They also might hear a word repeated over and over again, but have no idea what it means or how to use it in context. It is also common that the children use a robot-like or singing voice when they are talking. Once these children get older, they are hard to hold a conversation with. Often they get words mixed up or confused on the questions you're asking. Most of the time when I ask my brother what's up, he'll say fine, or if I ask him how are you, he says not much. This is just an example, and not all autistic children have this confusion. Behavior is another part in deciding whether the child has autism or not. Children with autism are sensitive to light, touch, sound, etc. They also have specific routines and become upset when the routine gets disturbed. Growing up with my brother, every day of the week we had a certain thing for dinner. For example, on Thursdays we ate tacos, and on Fridays we always had pizza. My brother decided what we ate on what day. This was a routine that he liked and wanted. He also would often cover his ears if things were a little too loud that normally wouldn't bother me or my brothers. Often when these children get mad, angry, or frustrated, they go from being perfectly happy to very out of control. They typically start flapping their hands, yelling, or screaming, and become violent to themselves or others. Many times we would not understand what set my brother off, but it was well known when something had. Every autistic child has something they are fond of and enjoy doing. My brother has always liked buses, trains, and drawings. He is very artistic and draws wonderful cartoons that look like the real thing. He is also very good with dates. If you tell him how old you are, he can tell you what year you were born without even thinking about it. Another autistic kid I went to school with has really good memory with driving. His parents could drive out to the middle of nowhere taking a bunch of turns, and he could tell you how to get back turn by turn. It depends on the severity of the autism to decide what type of therapy the child will need. My brother was in special education and had a helper in each of his classes to help him understand what was going on with the class. Other children need hours of therapy a day to help them develop intellectually. I worked as a therapist for autistic kids, and it was the first time I'd seen that type of therapy done, and it was hard work and very stressful on the kids if they didn't understand something or struggled to complete an exercise. Without all of the therapy and help in schools, many of these kids would never develop. In conclusion, with all of these signs, it is typically easy to diagnose a child with autism. Years and years of studying children and observation has led professionals to these signs and symptoms and is giving them a better understanding of what autism is. Now go back, and if you've spent time with a child with autism, do you recognize any of the signs? Do you see now that their disability and inability to interact with people? Growing up with my brother and him having autism, I still don't feel like I could tell if a child has autism or just a different disability. With a constant increase in autism in children, everyone needs to have a better understanding of what to look for in children so that those children can receive the help they need to develop.